I've been thinking a lot about ancestors lately and how we really need some sort of inspiration to help ourselves move along in these difficult times. The problem is we've lost ancestral connections, ancestors that go back a long way and who would deliver wisdom to us and who would inspire us and encourage us to have hope. And I think a lot of the time I have thought about introducing ancestral wisdom in some of my videos to help people move along. A lot of people don't actually understand where I'm coming from when I talk about ancestors. You may already know that my view of ancestors is very different from the way other people might talk about ancestors. I don't see ancestors as being our deceased mothers and fathers and grandmothers and great-grandparents, etc. I see ancestral wisdom as going a long way back so that we can take a much more objective view of civilization and the way we tend to think when we are civilized, when we have been civilized. Now that's a difficult thing, but I was thinking today about how much we actually need to have this education right now, how much hope we need to have, and how much we perhaps need to connect or reconnect with the other world. The other world is seen often as a free-for-all, as a place where you go and just have a good time. It's rather a theme park or a leisure park, as the natural world can be a lot of the time as well. But I'd like to introduce the way our ancestors and the way people in earlier times might have perceived the other world and interacted with the other world, and that's what we need to start doing now. Bottom line, we've got to get real. Bottom line, we've got to see any kind of culture, any kind of spirituality, any kind of connection with what the natural world is all about as real and as something that can help us along and reconnect us in a very realistic way to what we once had. So it might be a good idea, it's only thoughts at the moment, but it might be a good idea to introduce some ancestral wisdom. How would ancestors perceive what is taking place at this current time with the difficult times we're having with the virus? How would they view the way the world is interacting with this? How would they view helping and healing what's going on? I know one thing instinctively, that most of the ancestors I have would say Earth is primary, Earth comes first. And if you will insist on creating a civilized world, then you have to reap the consequences. If you sow a seed, then you have to reap what it gives you. And if you sow the civilized seed, then you're going to have to take the consequences of what it delivers. And this is part of what it delivers. There's been diseases through hundreds of years in the civilized world. Diseases and wars are what we're rather good at in the civilized world. But that's the primary focus, I think, to think that Earth comes first. And lately, since it's been so quiet, with a lot of people locked away behind their doors, there hasn't been so much traffic and there hasn't been so many people walking up and down. You can almost hear the Earth breathe. You can almost hear her saying, oh, it's good to get rid of a lot of this noise. But she comes first, always. And if we're suffering at the moment, then we've got to look to her for guidance, and we've got to look to ancestors for guidance. They want to give us hope, they want to help us. It's not as if they're all disowning us and they're all tucked away in the other world and not bothered about us. They are bothered about us. They're looking on, and you've got ancestors doing that as much as I have. But we have to go back a long way. They're not going to tell you to go and get your drums out and go and shake your arms and ring your bells. They're not going to say that at the moment, because we've come a long way from what ancient culture used to be able to offer in that way. And if we look at the other world now, we have to look with quite objective and sensible eyes. We have to start, I suppose, re-identifying, that's a word, with what nature is. Identifying in a different way with nature, identifying in a realistic way, but maybe looking at nature as she used to be, and taking it all back to its foundation, and all back to the origins. Which means we just have to look out of the window first and foremost, or look at the trees if we want to go and connect with some trees. See the sky, which is very blue at the moment. See the sky, see the trees, and don't have any ideas, any modern ideas of what they're about. Just look at the sky and try to erase those ideas, and look at the sky and see the sky, see that lovely blue or some cloud, whatever you're looking at, see it as it is. See everything as it is. But I suppose what I'm trying to say is the New Age has given us ways and means and perspectives on this, and we need to rethink those. So just look at the sky, just look at a tree, just look at some water and see how you feel about that without anything else dressing it on the top. Hard to do, but it can be done. Anyway, that's another idea, so stay safe, stay well, and many blessings, and I'll talk to you again soon.